Did you know that 70% of the global population is currently suffering from a deficiency that affects everything from your sleep to your DNA repair? You've likely felt the symptoms: unexplained fatigue, muscle cramps, or that midnight anxiety that won't let you rest. Naturally, you did what the $170 billion wellness industry told you to do. You bought a bottle of magnesium. But here is the $40 billion deception. Check your label. If it says magnesium oxide, you aren't buying health. You are buying an industrial byproduct with a bioavailability rate of less than 4%. You are effectively paying premium prices for what scientists call expensive urine, while your cells remain starving. While Big Pharma standardizes these synthetic, hard-to-absorb rocks in plastic bottles, a geological miracle has been hidden in the cracks of the Himalayas for millennia. It's called shilajit. It's a complex matrix containing 84 minerals and a secret weapon called fulvic acid, a natural transporter that forces nutrients into your cells. In today's deep dive, we are deconstructing the fake magnesium market, unearthing the ancient science of black gold, and showing you why the most powerful medicine isn't made in a lab. It's forged by the earth over centuries. You are paying for the weak version. It's time to claim the real one. The global magnesium market is currently valued at over $5 billion, and it is projected to grow nearly 6% every single year. But if you look closer at the back of the most popular bottles in your local pharmacy, a disturbing pattern emerges. The primary ingredient in the vast majority of mass-market supplements is magnesium oxide. To a chemist, this is simply a molecule of magnesium bound to oxygen. It is incredibly cheap to produce, stable on a shelf for years, and takes up very little space in a capsule, allowing manufacturers to claim high dosages like 500 milliliters on the front of the bottle. However, there is a fundamental conflict between industrial efficiency and human biology. Peer-reviewed studies, including a prominent one published in Magnesium Research, found that the fractional absorption of magnesium oxide in humans is as low as 4%. This means that for every 500 millimolars pill you swallow, your body might only successfully integrate 20 millimolars into your bloodstream. The remaining 480 millimolars stays in your digestive tract, where it acts as an osmotic laxative, drawing water into the bowels and often causing the very digestive distress that health products are supposed to prevent. Why do multi-billion-dollar corporations continue to push a form of magnesium that we barely absorb? The answer is purely financial. Magnesium oxide costs a fraction of a cent per dose to manufacture. High-quality chelated forms like magnesium glycinate or taurate require complex bonding processes in larger capsules, which slashes profit margins. By selling you the oxide form, the industry creates a cycle of invisible consumption. You feel a slight placebo effect, or perhaps the laxative effect convinces you the pill is doing something, but your cellular deficiency never actually resolves. You aren't investing in your nervous system. You are subsidizing a supply chain that prioritizes shelf life over human life. This is the commercial illusion of the isolated nutrient. We have been conditioned to believe that a higher number on a label equals better health. In reality, your body does not recognize these isolated, inorganic rocks. It speaks the language of complex bonds and organic carriers, a language that the modern supplement industry has conveniently forgotten in its pursuit of standardized, shippable units. As we continue to flush these expensive, unabsorbed minerals down the drain, we must ask, if the lab-grown solution is failing us, where can we find a mineral matrix that our cells actually welcome? The paradox of modern nutrition is that we are the most over-supplemented generation in history, yet we remain biologically starved. To understand why your magnesium capsule isn't working, we have to look at a concept known as the food matrix. In nature, minerals never exist in isolation. When you eat a magnesium-rich plant, the mineral is wrapped in a complex web of fibers, enzymes, organic acids, and cofactors that act as a biological GPS. This matrix tells your body exactly how to transport, process, and absorb the nutrient. The supplement industry, however, operates on a philosophy of reductionism. They take a complex natural process, strip away the matrix, and isolate a single chemical compound. They give you the key, but throw away the map. Without the organic carriers found in whole foods or traditional preparations, isolated magnesium often fails to cross the intestinal wall. It lacks the electrical charge and the molecular chaperones required to enter the mitochondria, the power plants of your cells where magnesium is most needed. This is why you can have high levels of magnesium in your blood test while your cells are still suffering from chronic deficiency. Your blood is merely a transit system. If the mineral can't get off the bus and into the building, it's useless. Furthermore, there is the issue of antagonism. In a laboratory setting, it's easy to measure a single ingredient, but in the human body, minerals work in a delicate dance of balance. When you flood your system with a high dose of isolated synthetic magnesium, you can inadvertently throw off your levels of calcium, potassium, and sodium. Nature avoids this through synergy. In traditional mineral sources, minerals are present in trace amounts but are highly bioavailable because they are chelated by nature itself, bonded to organic molecules that the body recognizes as food, not as a foreign chemical. The industrial manufacturing process further complicates this. To create millions of uniform tablets, companies use flow agents like magnesium stearate or silicon dioxide. These additives are great for the machines in the factory, but they can create a literal barrier in your gut, slowing down the breakdown of the pill and further reducing the chance of absorption. We have traded the messy, complex wisdom of natural mineral cycles for the clean, profitable efficiency of the assembly line. We are trying to solve a biological hunger with industrial logic, and the results are written in our declining health statistics. If we want to fix our mineral deficiency, we must stop looking at the periodic table and start looking at the geological and biological processes that have sustained life for millions of years. While modern factories churn out millions of white magnesium pills every hour, nature has been perfecting its own mineral delivery system for over 50 million years. To find it, we must travel to the high-altitude cracks of the Himalayan, Altai, and Caucasus Mountains. Here, during the heat of the summer, a thick, tar-like substance oozes from the rocks. The locals call it shilajit, a Sanskrit word meaning conqueror of mountains and destroyer of weakness. But to a geologist, shilajit is something far more profound. It is the condensed essence of ancient life. Millions of years ago, before the Indian subcontinent collided with Asia to form the Himalayas, these lands were lush with fertile vegetation. As the mountains rose, this organic matter was trapped and compressed under billions of tons of rock. It didn't fossilize into coal or turn into oil. Instead, it underwent a unique process of high-pressure humification. This transformed the prehistoric plants into a dense, mineral-rich resin, protected from pollution and oxygen, waiting for the sun's heat to release it. The traditional use of shilajit, documented in the 5,000-year-old texts of Ayurveda, treated it not as a simple supplement, but as a rasayana, a rejuvenator. Ancient healers didn't have microscopes to see the 84 trace minerals or the fulvic acid content, but they understood its primary function. It was a catalyst. They observed that when shilajit was consumed alongside other herbs, it amplified their effects. It acted as a biological ferry, carrying nutrients deep into the tissues where they were most needed. This stands in stark contrast to the industrial logic we discussed earlier. In the laboratory, we try to recreate mineral compounds in a vacuum, isolated and sterile. In the mountains, nature created shilajit through the slow, messy, and complex decomposition of entire ecosystems. It contains the memory of prehistoric soil, a time when the Earth's crust was vastly more nutrient-dense than the depleted agricultural land we rely on today. When you hold a piece of authentic shilajit, you aren't just looking at a supplement, you are looking at a geological record of survival. It represents a bridge between the mineral world of the rocks and the biological world of human cells. As we investigate the science behind this black gold, we begin to see that the secret to its power isn't just the minerals it contains, but the prehistoric organic acids that govern how those minerals move through our bodies. The true power of shilajit isn't just the minerals themselves. It is the delivery vehicle that carries them. Within this dark resin lies a substance that modern biochemistry is only beginning to fully appreciate: fulvic acid. To understand fulvic acid, you have to stop thinking like a pharmacist and start thinking like a cell biologist. Our cell membranes are the gatekeepers of our health. Over time, due to environmental toxins, poor diet, and oxidative stress, these membranes can become rigid and closed off, making it difficult for nutrients to enter and for waste to leave. This is why you can swallow all the magnesium oxide pills you want. But if the cellular gates are locked, those minerals will simply circulate in your blood before being filtered out by your kidneys. Fulvic acid is one of nature's most powerful chelators. In chemistry, chelation comes from the Greek word for claw. A chelator literally grabs onto inorganic mineral molecules and transforms them into organic, bioavailable compounds. But fulvic acid goes a step further. Because of its incredibly small molecular size and its unique electrical charge, it acts as a universal solvent. It increases the permeability of the cell membrane, effectively unlocking the door. Once the door is open, the fulvic acid hitches itself to the magnesium and other trace minerals, carrying them directly into the mitochondria. This is the biological mechanism that the supplement industry cannot replicate in a standardized tablet. While a laboratory can synthesize a mineral, it cannot easily stabilize the complex, volatile structure of naturally occurring fulvic acid. In a study published in the Journal of Alzheimer's Disease, researchers found that fulvic acid's unique structure even has the potential to inhibit the aggregation of tau proteins, suggesting that its ability to penetrate the blood-brain barrier is far superior to almost any synthetic supplement. Furthermore, fulvic acid is a bidirectional molecule. While it carries nutrients into the cell, it simultaneously binds to heavy metals and cellular waste products, like urea and lactic acid, carrying them out of the cell to be excreted. It is a delivery man and a garbage collector working in perfect harmony. When you consume a high-quality shilajit resin, you are providing your body with a 50-million-year-old technology designed to optimize cellular voltage. This is not about more is better. It's about intelligence is better. By using fulvic acid as a key, we bypass the inefficient, brute force method of high-dose synthetic supplements and return to a system of elegant, high-precision nutrient delivery that the human body has evolved to recognize for millennia. Reclaiming your mineral health doesn't require a subscription to a supplement brand. It requires a shift in how you perceive medicine in your kitchen. If you choose to explore the power of shilajit, the first step is to abandon the convenience of capsules. In the world of black gold, the resin form is king. Authenticity in this market is a battlefield, as many powders sold online are simply fillers mixed with humic acid. To know if you have the real thing, you must use your senses. Authentic shilajit resin will become firm when cold and soft, almost pliable when warm. It should dissolve completely in warm water, turning it into a dark, earthy tea with no sandy residue. The smell is unmistakable, pungent, smoky, and reminiscent of the ancient earth itself. But the true DIY wisdom lies in how you consume it. Traditional practitioners never took these minerals in isolation. They used anupanas, carrier substances that catalyze the absorption. Try dissolving a pea-sized amount of shilajit resin in raw, non-homogenized milk or warm spring water with a teaspoon of local honey. The natural fats and enzymes in these carriers act as a secondary transport system, echoing the food matrix we discussed earlier. Furthermore, you can integrate this mineral wisdom with the art of fermentation. By adding trace amounts of mineral resin to a fermenting batch of beet kvass or a ginger-based soda, you are essentially pre-digesting the minerals. The wild bacteria in the ferment break down the complex organic structures even further, making the fulvic acid even more active. This creates a living, probiotic mineral tonic that a sterile factory simply cannot replicate. This approach turns your kitchen into a laboratory of ancient science. Instead of a mindless morning ritual of swallowing plastic-coated pills, you are engaging in a deliberate act of nourishment. You are choosing to work with the slow, rhythmic cycles of nature. The heat of the water, the activity of the honey, and the ancient memory of the resin. This is where the commercial illusion finally shatters. When you feel the immediate surge of energy and mental clarity from a properly prepared mineral tonic, you realize that the $50 bottle of magnesium oxide on your shelf wasn't just ineffective, it was an insult to your biological potential. As the global demand for black gold skyrockets, a shadow industry has emerged to exploit the desperate. Not all shilajit is created equal. Because authentic resin is difficult to harvest from high-altitude cliffs, the market is flooded with counterfeit products. Many powders and resins are stretched with fillers like coal dust, clay, or even harmful heavy metals like lead and arsenic. Since shilajit is a product of the earth, it naturally absorbs what is in its environment. If harvested from polluted areas or processed in unverified facilities, this healing resin can become a toxic cocktail for your kidneys and liver. Furthermore, there is an ethical cost to convenience. Over-harvesting in the Himalayas threatens the fragile high-altitude ecosystems and the livelihoods of indigenous collectors who have respected these mountains for generations. True mineral wisdom requires you to be a conscious consumer. Always demand third-party lab results for heavy metal testing and purity. Finally, remember that while shilajit is a powerful catalyst, it is not a magic bullet. Those with high iron levels, gout, or active infections must exercise caution as the mineral density can exacerbate these conditions. We must move away from the more is better mentality that the supplement industry sold us. Respect the potency of the earth, use it with intention, verify your sources, and listen to the feedback of your own biology. We live in an era that worships convenience, where we've been taught that health can be bought in a plastic bottle and swallowed in a second. But as we've seen today, the fake magnesium myth is just one symptom of a much larger disconnection. We have traded the slow biological intelligence of the earth for the fast, sterile efficiency of the assembly line. We are over-supplemented, yet we remain fundamentally undernourished. True wellness isn't found in a laboratory's attempt to isolate nature. It's found in our return to the matrix. Whether it's through the prehistoric resin of the mountains or the bubbling life in a jar of fermented herbs, the answers have always been there, waiting in the kitchen and the soil. It is time to stop being a passive consumer of wellness marketing and start being an active participant in your own biology. If this deep dive has changed the way you look at the bottles in your cabinet, subscribe and join our community of modern explorers of ancient wisdom. Share your experience with traditional minerals in the comments below. Let's start a conversation that the industry would rather keep quiet. Remember, the most powerful medicine isn't just what you take, it's what you understand. Question everything, respect the process, and return to the source. Until next time.